All right, graceful aging or inflammaging? What if you could slow down the rate of your aging? Or how to rescue a tired immune system? A science demonstration by Dr. Paul Searby, DDS, MS. What you'll learn today, why some people age gracefully, why others go downhill fast, and how simple hygiene steps can combat inflammaging. The germ-killing solution your white blood cells make that becomes for us a safe, cheap antiseptic that stops mouth and airway infections before they exhaust their immune system. And you'll leave with everything you need to stay safe from infection and illness. A take-home sprayer filled with personal antiseptic, along with a recipe in the kitchen, new toothbrush, and printed instructions how to take control of your health. All right, what is inflammaging? What is graceful aging? I define graceful aging as natural aging with low inflammation and few infections. Those of us who just don't get sick very often, and it stays that way. Inflammaging is when the immune system is constantly used, you get infections, persistent infections, and get sick and don't quite come up all the way. And you find the inflammaging with chronic infections, repeat deep illnesses, and then an early death. But I found you can change your course and add healthy years all the way out to the Okinawan superagers. There's a group in a blue zone, they call it the blue zone in Japan, where people are routinely living to 100, 110 years old. And they found that they have very low inflammation. Yes, they're all Japanese, they're all very clean, they all do all the right things, but they have very low immune system activity. They're not sick, they're not infected. How'd they do it? Well, this is how. Graceful aging is when infections and illnesses are minimal and systemic inflammation is low. Your immune system protects you without causing collateral damage. Inflammaging is when an older immune system becomes exhausted, turning inflammatory responses inward to damage rather than protect us. Aging is an immune system-based event. But immune system recovery is possible. You can shift from a chronic inflammatory state back toward healthy immune function to slow further aging and avoid more disabilities. Inflammaging is chronic immune system activity and damage that goes along with it, and it affects all of the systems. Obviously, older folks are not going to have a fetus problem, but inflammation and your immune system is involved in your life from the beginning to the end. And as we get older, the inflammation gets worse and worse and worse, and more things get broken. Well, how does medicine view chronic inflammation? They call it idiopathic, which means of unknown origin, and apparently unstoppable. So we have inevitable immune system activation, chronic inflammation, and then eventually an epidemic of heart disease, diabetes, cancer, kidney diseases. Thank you for the good timing. Anyway, we have an epidemic of heart disease, diabetes, cancer, kidney disease, Alzheimer's, and everything else that goes wrong. Our bodies fail because our immune system has been tearing it up for bunches of years, and all the doctors' healthy living advice is not that helpful. Medicine accepts inflammaging as inevitable. Systemic inflammation is rampant. We are all getting sick, resulting in an epidemic of disabilities and all the diseases of old age. Organ damage is tolerated because medicine hasn't addressed the upstream driver of immune system exhaustion. And the oral cavity is invisible. Medicine has ceded oral health and becoming blind to its role in inflammaging and eventual death. This is what I think the immune system is facing. We have vulnerable mucosa, mouth, nose, lungs. The cells are chronically infected and inflamed. The airways by virus, respiratory system is in inflammation, strep throat bacteria, pneumonia bacteria, dry mouth tooth decay is bacteria, gum disease is bacteria, dentures that are never sterilized, a mouthful of bacteria. And your immune system recognizes that. And it's an understandable and therefore probably preventable immune system activation that has been causing chronic immune system activation. Medicine's healthy living advice obviously doesn't help against that, and their financial base kind of needs us all to get sick. So the germs are the enemy. Our mouth, nose, and throat and airways are the battlefield. Persistent oral infections drive systemic inflammation, repeat infections, and immune system exhaustion. Your body fights the same battles endlessly, wearing out without ever winning. Chronic inflammation is understandable and warranted. We leave ourselves wide open to infection and illness. Epidemics of immune-damaged organs prove medical disease prevention, as practiced, has mostly failed. COVID is the last straw for many of us inflammagers. So your immune system is always on. So we're gonna learn about the immune system now. There's a homeostasis mode when everything's fine, there are no infections. Your immune system is the quiet background work that keeps the tissues young and safe. Whoops. Where'd my button go? There it is. There's the defense mode when something goes wrong. And this is the acute survival response, the emergency setting that temporarily sacrifices growth and repair to win the fight. We got one or the other. You don't have both. Homeostasis, it supports growth and repair, wound healing, remodeling, regeneration. It will in fact detect and start to remove the pathogens is surveillance, detection. Cancer cells are detected and eliminated by the immune system when it's in its non-infection mode. Cleanup of the debris and dead cells need to be done in a healthy way without spurring more inflammation. And it maintains tolerance. When the immune system is doing its other job, we are healthy and young. But when something bad happens, whoops, we have to, there it is, it goes into defense mode. So the immune cells are reprogrammed to work an entirely different way. Instead of doing this, now they have to do the other. The metabolism, muscles and fat gets changed. The immune response is there to manufacture and deliver the germ-killing chemicals to the infection or damaged sites with respiratory bursts and chlorine biochemistry, which is what the book is really about. The immune system uses chlorine biochemistry. The immune system has got, the defense side has got a front half called innate immunity, which is getting everything started in a big pulse response and delivering the germ killer. And then the second half is to finish the job and turn it off. The B cells, T cells of the second half of the defense, targeting the killing of the germs and antibodies and immune system done with cells rather than with biochemistry. And finish the job. The defense mode, if everything's done, the germs are killed, the debris is cleaned up, the inflammation can shut down, and we revert back to growth, the growth side of function of our immune system. This is it. This is my favorite picture. This is the immune system. Although, I don't know that we need to go through the whole thing, but there's a 10-step process when we get infected. 10 steps. The pathogen surge, so we get infected, cell damage starts. The smells are detected by the sentinel cells, of which include the mucosa and under the white blood cells under the skin, which send activate signals, which are pro-inflammatory cytokines. Cytokines are the chemical communicator that our immune system says. When it starts, it sends out a signal. It's not audio, it is in fact chemical, it is in fact a protein. And it gets in the bloodstream, it's called a cytokine, and there are lots and lots of them. And NFKB is an activation protein. So when infection is detected, the detector cells send out a signal that tells everything, we got an infection. And the entire body receives a signal. There are a good number of organs that have to respond. White blood cells, obviously, bone marrow, where the white blood cells live. Fat cells are told we are now in an infection mode rather than a growth mode, and the muscle cells obey their instructions to become insulin resistant, allow glucose to stay in the bloodstream. We need the white blood cells needed to fight the infection somewhere, so the muscles become insulin resistant. You do that long enough and your muscles are insulin resistant long enough, you are now diabetic. It's because your immune system didn't turn off. It's okay for a short while, it's not okay long term. We get caught in long term because we're old and stuff happens, and it shows exactly what happens. But this is what's supposed to happen. So it turns on, the smells are detected, everything gets turned on, the white blood cells of all kind turn into the defense mode. They all start secreting the pro-inflammatory cytokines, which is, it's kind of like a smoke detector. We have an alarm, so the smoke detector smells the smoke and farts. It makes it emits something, and then it notices what it emitted and does it again and does it again, and the neighbors, and then so we're all these bunch of people making smoke, and smoke alarm making smoke, which creates a big pulse of a response. If we're getting infected somewhere and we have a minimal response and the germs don't die, we are not going to live. So the immune system builds a really big pulse by using the cytokine system, proteins and cells initiating an activation. And it's very easy to turn on, and it becomes very hard to turn off. The whole system is to make it all on, and then we want that, but we don't want it forever. Anyway, eventually the white blood cells do surge and move to the battle zone. So the white blood cells in the bloodstream and the cells of the vascular cells, the cells of the blood vessels themselves, become sticky to the white blood cells and put brakes on and keep the white blood cells right there. And then they go into the infection sites. Wonderful system. And the muscles have let that go, and the fat lets fat into the bloodstream because there's a fight going on. And so the white blood cells show up at the place, and they create a hypochlorous acid surge, HOCl, which is chlorine. It's the chlorine germ killer made by the white blood cells that are delivered, that go to the infection site and squirt the stuff right there. That's how the immune system works. It's a little chlorine delivery factory, and the cells do it themselves, and they end up at the infection site killing the germs with chlorine. Who knew? All right, so now what happens? Now we drop into now the pathogens are killed, the toxins and enzymes are neutralized. Chlorine kills the germs, and it turns off the poisons that they make. Germs need proteins to live. Chlorine turns off the protein function. It doesn't destroy it, it just turns off the function. It's an off switch. God designed it because life is all made of proteins, and eventually we need to turn off some proteins, the bad ones. So this is what we use, chlorine. I don't know, we get into it in the book because I like the chemistry part, but chlorine turns off proteins, and it turns off the toxins and enzymes and the germs themselves. And then the cleanup, and then the white blood cells finish up cleaning up, and then the lowered pathogens and toxins reduce the pro-inflammatory cytokine levels. All those signalers up top drop down, and in fact they start secreting anti-inflammatory signals. So now the all clear system goes out, ideally to the entire body. And the cells revert back to the growth and repair modes that we noticed earlier, and the immune response ends. So the white blood cells revert back. The T cells and B cells revert back to their anti-inflammatory repair mode. Muscle cells revert to the insulin-sensitive mode. Vascular recovery, the endothelium of the blood vessels stops being leaky, and the fat cells revert to healthy fat storage. We get better. So it turns on, goes through the whole thing, 10 steps. The entire body has to do it, and then we get better. Happens very quickly when we're young, very easily. Any one of those things breaks, and we are in big trouble. So in fact, here's what happens when something breaks. Chronic inflammation is your immune system trapped in the defense mode. All we get are the top. We just have the top pulse part of the immune system is activated because the germs, the persistent infections or repeat infections in the mouth, nose, throat, and airways. It's always here. We're always getting sick in our nose, mouth, throat. It's not the skin. We wash our hands a million times. I don't get sick hands. It's always in the mucosa and the airways, and so that's where it's happening. And it keeps the germs, the toxins, the damage going, and the immune system knows it. The cellular damage accumulates. The white blood cells stay activated. The alarms are turned on 24/7. The white blood cells that are trying to make the germ killer are exhausted, and the T cells that are supposed to finish and turn it off are exhausted because we let the persistent infections in the mouth go. And then you get an immune system that's stuck in this chronic inflammation that we all are in. This is universal to a degree. We're all getting debris and damage accusing. Anyway, then you have something like COVID come along, or MRSA, which is unable to be killed by antibiotics, and any of the pneumonias, and even the mRNA vaccination, which turns on the immune system before you ever need it. You might need this. Here, go get turned on. And the last thing we need is to get our immune systems turned on again for something that may or may not happen. Anyway, so if you got an immune system that is failing, you end up something. Well, it depends on what fails. Multiple organ failure, heart failure, lung fails, the immune system fails, or the bacteria take over everywhere. Blood supply clotting, or metabolic failure, which is obesity and I guess end stage diabetes. So the immune system doesn't break; it exhausts. Decades of fighting uncontrolled oral and mucosal infections damage us and depletes our immunity. The collateral damage accelerates, causing Infla-Aging's downhill health decline with deep infections and persisting illnesses. Aging cascades to deathly crisis. Once the immune system collapses, decline becomes rapid across all systems simultaneously. But this trajectory is preventable, but only by stopping the infection source before immune system exhaustion becomes irreversible. So the mucosa is a battleground for the war versus germs. I live in this side, the mouth, gums, palate. That's about 24% of our vulnerable mucosa. The throat is infected by bacteria, viruses. Mouth is mostly bacteria. Denture, candida. Nose, eyes are a little bit. You can get infected through an eye. It's part of the system. And the upper lungs, apparently. Deep lungs are probably not included. That's a huge surface area, and hopefully germs don't get that far. So the mucosa is the body's largest immune frontier. Biofilms thrive on mucosa. Organized microbial colonies persist in a protective slime. In the mouth, it's the most accessible, cleansable, and manageable. Unlike the internal organs, the oral cavity offers us a unique opportunity for direct antimicrobial intervention. We just need an antiseptic, a safe disinfectant for mucosa. So, meet Dr. Willoughby Miller, the first oral microbiologist, a dentist. Studied in America, went to Germany, and right after the dawn of bacteriology. And he actually studied at the Koch Institute in 1891 and wrote the book, Microorganisms of the Human Mouth. Once they started looking at it and found the germs causing diseases, and then you look at a sick mouth and a sick body and find they're connected. He was the first to prove that cavities are caused by bacterial fermentation, making acids which dissolve holes in teeth, which gives us a science behind toothbrushing and toothpick and floss. He also proposed, importantly, the focal infection theory, where toxins and bacteria infecting the mouth can seep into the bloodstreams to cause disease far away. It's now been proven true. He looked in vain for an ideal oral antiseptic that would kill bacteria quickly and safely and be suited for daily use. But medicine and dentistry have abandoned Dr. Miller's search for an effective mucosal and oral antiseptic. So, I found it. Actually, Dr. Ono found it. It was 2012. The antiseptic Dr. Miller searched for but never found is a dilute, weakly acidic hypochlorous acid solution that becomes, for us, germ-killing water. So back in 2012, Dr. Ono tested very dilute, 50 ppm chlorine solutions, which is, we'll get over what that means. It's the concentration. It's way down toward the bottom. Water is 1 to 5 parts per million. A pool water is 5 to 10 parts per million. One step up from pool water becomes a perfect antiseptic. Kills germs in 15 seconds. Fungus, 15 seconds. Virus, 15 seconds. Spores, took a couple minutes for germ-killing water to kill a spore. Nose, mouth, throat is not a spore problem. But 15 seconds of contact time for a 100% kill, that's an antiseptic. That's what we want. So Dr. Ono found a dilute, weakly acidic HOCl disinfectant. The same chemical that our white blood cells make, he found, what a surprise, it kills germs on the outside too. So 15 seconds, germ killing depends on the HOCl concentration, not hypochlorite. We'll get into the chemistry in a minute. And so we can make medical grade antiseptic. It can be prepared by adding tiny amounts of chlorine and acid to clean water. In fact, I did the math, and if you want a bottle of it, you can make, this is the recipe here, for 100, the middle one makes sense. It could be 50 parts per million, 100, 300. This is the range of the antiseptic range of hypochlorous acid solution. And it would be a teaspoon, the middle one there, 100 parts per million, a teaspoon of bleach and a teaspoon of vinegar and a gallon of clean water. So I'm calling it Serbicide because it needs a name. Anything in that area, and it is in fact, Dr. Ono's chlorine antiseptic it's everything we would want. It's a broad antimicrobial kill, rapidly bactericidal, virucidal, fungicidal, sporicidal, anti-inflammatory, antitoxin, reasonable persistence, ease of use, solubility, relative stability, relative non-toxicity, non-poisonous residue, non-staining, non-discoloring. It's low cost, which is why we don't know about it at all. It's essentially free. We can make it ourselves. And now it has a cool name. So anyway, this is a chart. It's going to be in the paperwork. You're going to get all these slides, take-home slides, and if this is online, then you'll get it. There'll be a PDF of all the take-home. This is a chart. This is, you want to make 100 part per million. That would be a good ballpark antiseptic for all these uses, whether it's a disinfectant or antiseptic. 300 parts per million is a little bit stronger. If you've got a real sick area where you want to use it as therapy, then you use a little bit stronger. Again, we're getting into pH. It just shows, if we were to get into it, it just shows that the vinegar isn't important. You can have dilute bleach, and it's still a little bit wrong. It's actually, well, if you just add bleach, you end up with, this is the red curve is what we're looking at for hypochlorous. And if it's, your bleach is way the hell out there in pH 12, which is in the next slide. But you add it there, you only 24% is been activated. Adding a little bit of acid brings it way up here. Dr. Ono proved it. You get to pH 6, it's 97% active. So, I did. Acid adjustment activates it fully and eliminates the hydroxide, which bleach is irritating and caustic and all those things. It's not the chlorine. The chlorine hypochlorite is completely inactive in bleach. It can't separate. The oxygen and chlorine can't separate from one another until they get acidified, and then it can do its job. The body runs at about pH 6, 7. And when it's not another coincidence, right? When pH 6 or 7 happens, whoops, the stuff is completely active. So in the body, when it makes it, it doesn't go to the wrong form. It goes exactly where it's supposed to be by design. All right, there's a pH. pH 14 is pure alkaline, which is the opposite of acid. pH 1 is acid. I didn't put that on here. We're not going down to acids. But you've got sodium hydroxide, pH 14, and then bleach is at pH 12, and then soap solutions are pH 8 through 10, and then finally you get to water at 7. Cross over water, and now I've got pH 6, which is where hypochlorous acid is absolutely activated and ready to go. So you need only a tiny bit of chlorine fully activated, and you end up with a perfect antiseptic that is, well, no hydroxide remains. It does not bleach fabrics. It does not caustic. It's not corrosive. It's not a degreaser. It doesn't do any of the other things. That was all hydroxide. The chlorine just kills germs and undoes proteins. The range of chlorine concentrations, like I said, 1 to 4 on the very weak end is drinking water. 5 to 10 parts per million of chlorine is what we put in pools. 50 to 200 becomes our missing antiseptic range. Anything in there works. Doesn't matter. Seconds, everything is dead. Doesn't hurt a bit. The body uses that happily. So everything we have. 300 is stronger. The doctors use it for wound solution. 650, it's their high-level disinfectant. For endoscopes, which led to medicine not using chlorine as an antiseptic. The endoscope people paid doctors to not use chlorine. To use the other medicines paid more, and so chlorine got taken out. It's a shame. It's a different story, but again, the doctors were pushed away from chlorine, the simple chlorine germ killer as an antiseptic, because there's more money in, well, the other chemicals, and there's more money in disease. All right, bleach is 550,000 parts per million hypochlorite. There's no hypochlorous down there. And 10% bleach was used in World War I as a trench disinfectant. They're down in, they're bloody and in the bottom of a trench in the rain in a field in France. And yes, they're getting infected horribly. In fact, all through history, the wars, 3 times more people died from infection than they did from the actual wound. But, you know, Florence Nightingale, and they finally cleaned things up, took sewer germs away from water and cleaned that up. And, you know, but they eventually, they left the antiseptic part alone once they discovered antibiotics. There's a lot of money in antibiotics, but we got to get sick first. All right, so this is what we had: 1 through 10, 5 through 20 is the antiseptic, 300 is a wound antiseptic, 650 is a disinfectant, really high is certainly a very good disinfectant cleaner, and then that's full strength bleach. They're all FDA certified at their own particular thing, except nobody ever spent any time telling us about the 50 to 200 part per million range, because it is a mucosal antiseptic. And it's got a cool name now. So this is all you need to stay healthy and safe from infection and inflammation. You get a gallon of 100 part per million hypochlorous acid, pH 6, 97% active hypochlorous acid, kills germs beautifully. Got a spray bottle. Spray it in your mouth, spray it on your feet, spray it on the surface, spray it on anywhere there's a germ, truth be told. It's a perfect disinfectant and antiseptic. Eyes, mouth, nose, ears, there's no wrong place. And, all right, what about nose and throat? Nose, throat, lungs. Now we want a nebulizer or a humidifier. So now, if we use an antiseptic, Dr. Miller's enhanced oral hygiene protocol is complete. So now if we can clean the mouth and nose, throat, we can take away focal infections. And the chronic oral biofilms continually leak pathogens and toxins into the body, maintaining the primitive oral alarms and driving inflammation. It must stop, and germs must die, and here's how. We're going to clean teeth. We're in a new germ-killing tooth cleaning protocol. No toothpaste or spitting needed. Clean between teeth, yes. Floss, dental pick, brush. Clean stuff between the teeth. Brush, please. Roots. Why am I getting this funny sound? Am I hitting this? No, I'm not. Anyway, sorry. Cut that out. I don't know. Anyway, sorry. Brush roots. We need to clean teeth. Clean your teeth, brush teeth. Yes, brush your tongue, please. Swish and swallow. Now we have an antiseptic, kills germs and dissolve proteins, chlorines, sulfurs. The chlorine is what dissolves the sulfur, which is part of the smell and part of the protein that causes all the problems. And now we have something to soak dentures in overnight. So we have made a hypochlorous acid solution It's very weak. It'll kill germs in 15 seconds. It'll certainly kill the denture germs overnight. The tablet companies did not want the dentist to tell us about this, and they didn't even look, which is really the worst part. Anyway, to sterilize, simply soak overnight in 100 dentures and partials in 100 parts per million solution. Use fresh disinfectant solution every night. And then if the dentures are carrying disease, you are carrying disease everywhere you go. And if you go to the hospital and pick up MRSA or any of the worst ones, then they're alive on your dentures forever, unless you sterilize them. You can knock it down to fewer. The tablets will knock them down. The numbers are lower, but they're not dead. So you give it 24 hours, they're all back. Every single one of them. So we want sterile. That's what the tablet company paid the dentist. They couldn't even define what a clean denture is. I don't know what a denture is. We don't know. If it's got germs in it, you can tolerate germs. We don't know what a clean denture is. So go ahead and just use the tablets. You can sterilize them. There are two ways. It's with chlorine and with heat. But don't worry about those. They said that. They wrote that in the report. And then American dentists said that's good enough for me. Well, it isn't. It really isn't. And this is the way we can now do a better job, and it doesn't cost any money. And if we stay healthier, then we don't have to spend any money on the doctors, and they're not going to like that. So now we have audience participation time. We'll break for us here. If you guys will come up here, come on up here. Hand out. I've got spray bottles, and I've got toothbrushes, and I'm going to brush my teeth right here in front of on camera with my antiseptic. No toothpaste. So now I'm taking toothbrushing out of the bathroom. Mine's in my car. I'm just brushing my teeth in my car, and there's no spitting, there's no toothpaste, there's nothing. Just a clean mouth. And if I'm dry, yeah. Ugh. Here you go. So everybody gets something.
Thank you.
1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yes, sir.
How are you doing?
Oh, that was a bad throw. That was a bad
Oh,
throw.
you're right. I need a soft one. How do you know?
You.
You know me.
Ta-da! What? All right. Alrighty then. What do we got? We got any more? I am so dry.
What we're doing? Are we going to do this all together?
Yeah, I'm gonna get on camera here again and regale the world with my wonderful dulcet tones. All right. So if we're, yeah. Am I here? Can I just continue? All right. So now we have now we have an antiseptic. We're going to kill germs in our mouth. We're going to start there. We need nose, mouth, throat, lungs, everywhere, but we're going to start on mouth because I'm a dentist, damn it. Anyway, so now we have our antiseptic. It's just, I made it yesterday. It was a gallon of water, tap water, teaspoon of disinfecting bleach, tap water. It doesn't have to be. If we want to get into cystic fibrosis, the kids who have sick lungs, they're missing two things: water, hypochlorous acid. All right, well, they need to inhale water and hypochlorous acid. They need to inhale the mist every day as a hand washing of their lungs. How do we start on that? Yes, well, hold it. We'll do questions in a bit. You're right, I imagine you do. Yes. Excuse me? Your who? Oh, we'll get into that. Yeah, I'll do the, we're going to do the aerosol demonstration in a minute. Because that, I think that may be it's certainly as important as a clean mouth. Another question. Oh, you rascal. You're not going to let me get out of here, are you? All right, well, here, I'm just going to brush my teeth here. You can talk all you want. I'll just ignore you. Literally, what's it take to brush teeth with a little bit of germ-killing water? And there's no spitting involved. It doesn't have to be. Huh? You can swallow, yeah, sure. Should. It's been a few years now. I looked into the microwave disinfectant of dentures for a full year and found out, oh my God, we should have been told. It's an awful lot of energy to put into a denture. I've had patients melt them. They figured it out. They didn't use water and they zapped it, and it's like, okay, the chlorine was the better answer. And yes, well, have I been doing this? I don't know. As soon as I discovered it, it's like, well, that's easy. So I'm brushing my teeth. And yes, swallowing it. And so on the mucosal chart, 24%. Yeah, I just brushed my teeth and 24% of my mucosa germ-free, 15 seconds. Nothing. All right, that's probably enough to keep you safe from COVID forever. Because now, for COVID to get you sick, and I got that on slide 2, it needs all of it. It'll get the entire mucous system infected. It might start one place, but it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. But if you're always keeping your mouth and throat clean, between the nose and the lungs is a clean area of mucosa that has not been infected by virus. All of a sudden now the virus can't take over everything and get you sick. It kind of stalls and goes away. So that's the other slide of how do we not get virus. Well, now we have to, they're sneaky. Bacteria is easy, you kill them, boom. Viruses hide inside the mucosal cells, and they leak out and reinfect more mucosal cells. And now the entire nose, mouth, throat, lung being infected. So we want to stop that. So I'm starting with this. Just get this mucosa clean, and that's too easy. And also, for those folks, I got a lot of patients, walking is difficult. Getting to the bathroom is going to be tough. Leaving the bed, being in the car, being in the office. So it's just like, well, why don't we get away with the toothpaste? It doesn't do anything, really. I don't need a toothpaste. I need germs to die. I need the biofilm to get disrupted and any germs to die. That's all this is supposed to be. That's what Dr. Miller said. There are germs in there. Let's kill them. They have a slime you got to brush away with the toothpicks and you can do floss if you like. I like toothpicks. And tongue and an antiseptic. And we're using what God uses, and that's the best information I can give for you. All right, second way, which is kind of cool. And I've been doing this for a couple of years now. Probably this has been, discovering this, been a while. Anyway, this is the ultrasonic, I should have taken this out earlier, sorry. I think this is probably the most important thing in the world. This is the cure for cystic fibrosis, which, yes, I did tell HHS, sent them the book, wrote them a letter. Trump wasn't wrong about. His quote was, looking at COVID on the disinfectant that kills COVID on surfaces in a minute, we need something like that in the lungs by injection or cleaning in the lungs because, once COVID gets in the lungs, it does a number on it. Doctors are going to have to do it, but wouldn't that be nice? What? Okay. Well, we're going back to that. All right, let me get situated again. I don't know how to do this. Boop. Louder for the back. there I am. I'm trying to get away from it. Louder. All right, anyway. So I ended up with, can you see this here? All right, cool. All right, this is an ultrasonic humidifier. You buy it at Walmart, $30. I'm putting in, I don't know, 300, 100. Let's put in the 300 part per million. Why not? How do you do it? Easy. These things, you put water in that and you turn it on and it just goes all night. It's for room humidifying. But I'm a chemical engineer. I'm gonna fiddle with it. So I made some. That's 300 parts per million. I made it with a tablespoon of bleach and a tablespoon of vinegar and a gallon of water. I use it all over in the dental office because I got germs in the dental office. I'd like not to spread them. The patient spits out a denture to me, and I got to give it to my son to fix. Be like, dunk, dunk, dunk. So here we go. So this is so you put it in the thing, you put it on there, and it sets itself up to the right thing, and all of a sudden we have a bunch of mist, and that's okay. Ooh, it smells a little bit like chlorine, and yes, you can please come up here and give it a sniff. I can smell the chlorine on the 300 parts per million, and the 100 parts per million, I can't even smell it. But that's okay, but that's not that easy. Again, we're talking about folks who are sitting in bed or whatever. So look at me. I went to Home Depot. And got a plastic pipe, CPAP, and all right. Oh, all right, here I have my mic. Now I've taken just a home ultrasonic humidifier. I put some homemade hypochlorous acid solution in it. Put a CPAP hose on it. Now all of a sudden, if I were sitting in my bed, or difficult to get out there, and at the end of the day, I wanted to have a clean nose, mouth, throat. So you really can it's like a spa. It's just water, and it's germ-killing water. So I got that. Somebody gave me one of these things, and now I got a little thing, and like, all right, now I'm going to really go to town here. Why not? It's water, for crying out loud. For people who have cystic fibrosis and can't make water and chlorine in their lungs, this is the answer. Vertex Cystic Fibrosis Company owns a patent of a three drug combo. It costs $6,000 to make for a year. They charge the families of cystic fibrosis kids $300,000 a year. It bankrupts them. They get a year because the medicine gives them 10% more chlorine function of their lungs. 10% more, and they're better. It really helps. That's probably 100% right there. And it costs nothing here. So this is what I think we should do at home. I don't know. Would you be interested if I got a list of all my little pieces here? So I said, hey, would you like one of these? I'll just, push a button and Amazon will send you all the pieces. You only have to add water. I have a feeling that's something. I can tell you what you should do and how to do it yourself, but the real obvious the opportunity for me might be, how about I just give them the box of stuff? And the book will be included. So it's possible that I'm trying to get the information out, because you can, in fact, buy hypochlorous acid solution. It is around. There's an oral, this is a Brio, made by Brio. It's an oral swish. It has 140 parts per million hypochlorous acid. Dum-da-da, just like we make with the Tespone. And it does work. It's got it work. It's salt water based, which tastes like yuck. Clorox makes a daily disinfectant, hypochlorous acid. It's about 100 and something parts per million hypochlorous acid. It gets old. Shelf life is a bit of an issue. Chlorine doesn't last forever, and it's very dilute to begin with. And then they have wound solution somewhere. Oh, this is wound solution, 300 parts per million. Hospitals use this. You got a bed sore, you got something awful with biofilm. They're pouring that on there because it kills germs in seconds. You have to do it over and over again, but again, saltwater based. It was like, well, I can make it myself. All right, so let's finish our slides now that we've done a little bit of that. I trust you guys can figure out how to brush your teeth. All right, caretakers. Now this is about the antiseptic. Now we have oral. All right, now we're going to leave the oral cavity. What else can we do? Well, I know, I got that right here. All right, I don't know. You look in the research, or I looked in the research, or if you, what does hypochlorous acid antiseptic do for all of these skin problems? Swimmer's ear, eye infections, diaper rash, athlete's foot fungus, acne, herpes virus. So all of these can be affected. So we have everyday wounds and scrapes, cuts, abrasions, minor injuries can be treated with an antiseptic. Bacterial skin infections, really bad ones. If the body's making chlorine on the inside to fight it, we add it from the outside. All of a sudden you've got two immune systems working and things get better. Yeast, fungal, moisture-related rashes, yeast infections, athlete foot, irritated moist areas, chronic skin ulcers, pressure ulcers, and diabetic foot leg ulcers, and post-surgical medical devices. Openings in the skin. Skin's a very good barrier, but openings in the skin just are easily infected, especially older, especially if hospital germs are the super germs. This is a COVID slide. COVID, it infects the mucosa. The virus infects the mucosal cells themselves. They silently incubate to become billions, take over the whole area. Symptoms show up too late, and the viruses have already won. They've by the billions. COVID and flu are mainly preventable via the diligent antiseptic cleaning of mucosa. Again, nose, maybe mouth is enough. Truth be told, I haven't gotten sick for forever. I actually did get something. I didn't test it. Didn't get any vaccines, but I did get something. And like you said here, oh my God, I'm not feeling good. And I started doing the chlorine big time. I still got sick. It's again, once your virus has got you and taken over most everything. I'm not that diligent on the aerosol. I don't have a disease. I'm not vulnerable. I don't get sick. But I allowed, what happens here is the virus shows up, whoop, way over here, low level, one virus. One virus infects one mucosal cell. And it sits there and it has a gestation period of 6 to 8 hours. So you get infected, 6 to 8 hours later, it has babies. And like one virus can have 1,000 babies out of one cell. And they're not going anywhere. They infect 1,000 of your cells. Now, one cell becomes 1,000 cells, becomes 1,000,000 cells, now your immune system finally says, woo, something's going on, and now you start to get that. But by that time, the entire mucous system has been taken over by viruses. And it's a little late. You're going to have